Why do so many fade after 80? Unlock the hidden secrets to thriving past your 8th decade. Picture this. You're in your 70s, bursting with energy, your mind sharp as a razor, and life feels like an adventure. You're laughing with friends, tackling daily tasks, and savoring every moment. Then, you hit 80, and something shifts. It's not a loud crash, just a quiet, creeping fade. Your energy dips, your steps grow hesitant, and that vibrant spark you've always carried, it's flickering, and it hurts. You wonder, is this just what aging is? Society says it's inevitable, blame genetics, bad luck, or just getting old. But what if I told you that's only a sliver of the truth? Beyond the usual advice about diet, exercise, or smoking, there are 5 unexpected, science-backed reasons why so many struggle to thrive past 80s island culprits that slip under the radar and steal your vitality. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're rooted in research and real-life stories. And the best part? You can do something about them. If you've ever wondered why some people radiate life well into their 90s while others fade, or if you're determined to age on your terms, this is your wake-up call. Stay with me, because these 5 hidden reasons could transform how you live, love, and thrive past 80. Let's dive in. Number 1. The quiet collapse of microsocial connections. The invisible lifeline you're losing. You know those fleeting moments that pepper your day? The quick good morning to the mail carrier, the playful banter with the cashier at the grocery store, or the nod to the neighbor walking their dog. They feel like nothing, right? Just small talk. But science begs to differ. These microsocial engagements are a secret weapon for longevity. A 2021 study in the Journals of Gerontology found that even brief social interactions reduce inflammation markers like C-reactive protein by up to 15% and boost cognitive function by stimulating neural pathways in the brain's prefrontal cortex. These moments aren't just nice, they're keeping your body and mind young. Why are they so powerful? These tiny connections act like a daily tune-up for your nervous system. They signal to your brain that you're part of a living, breathing world, reinforcing your sense of belonging. A 2019 Nature Human Behavior study showed that regular social engagement, even casual, lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, by 10 to 20% and supports the hippocampus, the brain region tied to memory and emotional regulation. Without these interactions, your brain feels disconnected, triggering a cascade of effects: higher stress, weaker immunity, and faster cognitive decline. But after 80, these moments often vanish. Maybe you're not running errands anymore, Amazon delivers your groceries, and it's just easier. Maybe hearing loss makes small talk feel awkward, or you've stopped walking because the sidewalk feels risky. Perhaps you've moved to a quieter neighborhood, or the cold keeps you indoors. Whatever the reason, those microsocial touchpoints fade, and with them, a piece of your vitality. A 2018 health psychology study compared subtle loneliness to smoking 15 cigarettes a day in terms of health impact, raising inflammation, and shrinking the brain's social networks. I met Frank, 84, who used to light up his small town with his daily walks to the local diner. He'd tip his hat to the same 3 people on the corner, swap stories with the waitress, and leave with a spring in his step. But after a minor fall, he stopped going out. Within a year, Frank wasn't just quieter, he was frailer. His memory slipped, and his doctor noted elevated inflammation markers. The culprit? Not the fall, but the loss of those daily hellos that kept him tethered to the world. The good news? You can rebuild this. It doesn't take much, just a spark of connection. Take action. Start small. Wave to a neighbor, chat with a barista, or call a friend for a quick catch-up. Even 5 minutes of interaction daily can rekindle your brain's spark. Try this. Next time you're at the store, ask the cashier how their day's going. It's simple, but it's powerful. What's one microsocial moment you'll create today? Drop it in the comments below. I want to hear your story. Number 2. Overcautious living. When playing it safe becomes a slow decline. Better safe than sorry. It's a phrase we've all heard, especially as we age. Maybe you tripped on a curb, or your knees wobbled climbing the stairs. So, you decide to play it safe. No more evening walks, no bending to grab that low shelf, no climbing into the back seat of a car. Your loved ones nod in approval. Don't push it, they say. Take it easy. But here's the harsh reality. Overcautious living is a trap. It feels like wisdom, but it's a slow slide into weakness. A 2020 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that just 2 weeks of reduced physical activity can lead to a 5 to 10% loss of muscle mass in older adults. That's not just weaker biceps, it's a weaker core, shakier balance, and a body that forgets how to move with confidence. Your core muscles, those unsung heroes that keep you standing tall, are like a garden. Neglect them, and they wither. A 2022 Journal of Aging and Physical Activity study showed that declining core strength increases fall risk by 30% in those over 80. And falls aren't just accidents, they're often the start of a downward spiral, leading to hospitalization or loss of independence. Take Walter, 82, who loved his 1-mile evening walks through his suburban neighborhood. One rainy day, he slipped, no broken bones, just a bruised ego. But that scare was enough. He swapped walks for television, thinking he was being prudent. 6 months later, he'd lost 10 pounds of muscle, his legs felt like jelly, and getting out of a chair was a struggle. Walter didn't weaken because he was old, he weakened because he stopped moving. Your body isn't a machine that rests to stay efficient, it's a living system that thrives on use. A 2019 Bone Journal study found that older adults who reduced activity lost 1 to 2% of bone density annually, increasing fracture risk. But movement, even gentle movement, keeps those systems humming. A 2023 Geriatrics and Gerontology International study showed that older adults who maintained light activity, like walking 0.5 miles daily, preserved muscle mass and balance 20% better than those who didn't. Take action. You don't need to run marathons, start small. Try a 10-minute walk around your block, use a cane if it helps, or do chair-based core exercises like seated leg lifts. Clear your walkways, wear sturdy shoes, and manage risks without surrendering to them. Ask yourself, am I protecting my body, or am I letting fear steal my strength? If this resonates, comment 2 below and share one way you'll move today. Number 3. Disrupted sleep. How light is sabotaging your nights and your health? Ever wake up feeling like you barely slept, even after 8 hours in bed? Your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm, might be out of sync, and the culprit is likely light. This isn't just about feeling groggy, it's about your entire system falling out of rhythm. Your circadian rhythm governs everything: your mood, metabolism, immune response, and even how your brain repairs itself at night. Morning sunlight tells your brain to wake up, boosting serotonin and energy. Darkness cues melatonin production for deep, restorative sleep. But after 80, these cues often get scrambled, and the consequences are profound. A 2022 study in Sleep Journal found that irregular light exposure increases sleep disruption by up to 25% in older adults, raising risks of depression by 20% and cognitive decline by 15%. Too little daylight, maybe you're staying indoors more, or too much artificial light at night, like from your television, phone, or bright lamps, confuses your body's clock. The result? You struggle to fall asleep, wake up feeling unrested, or find your memory and focus slipping. A 2020 Journal of Biological Rhythm study showed that older adults with disrupted circadian rhythms had a 30% higher risk of cognitive impairment over 5 years. But it's not just about sleep. Quality light exposure affects your entire body. Sunlight is critical for vitamin D production, which supports bones, muscles, and immunity. After 80, your skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D drops by 50%, per a 2021 Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism study. Low vitamin D levels increase fracture risk by 25% and weaken immune function, making you more susceptible to infections. In the US, where 40% of older adults are vitamin D deficient, per a 2019 nutrient study, this is a silent epidemic. Take Helen, 84, who felt exhausted and disoriented despite a healthy diet and no major health issues. Her blood work was normal, but her days were spent indoors, and her evenings were filled with late-night television. Her doctor prescribed a simple fix: 20 minutes of morning sunlight, even just sitting by an open window, and no screens after 8 p.m. Within 2 weeks, Helen's sleep deepened, her mood lifted, and her memory sharpened. She wasn't taking a new pill, she was harnessing the power of light. But why does this happen so easily after 80? As we age, our eye's ability to detect light diminishes, and the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the brain's master clock, becomes less responsive per a 2023 Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience study. This makes consistent light cues even more critical. Indoor lighting, especially blue light from screens, mimics daylight and suppresses melatonin by up to 50% per a 2018 Journal of Sleep Research study. Over time, this disruption doesn't just make you tired, it accelerates aging at a cellular level, increasing oxidative stress and inflammation. And let's talk about the ripple effects. Poor sleep doesn't just leave you groggy, it impairs glucose metabolism, raising diabetes risk by 15% per a 2021 Diabetes Care study. It also weakens your immune system, making you more vulnerable to illnesses like the flu, which is especially dangerous for older adults. In the US, where 1 in 3 adults over 80 report sleep issues, per a 2022 National Institute on Aging report, this is a massive, fixable problem. Take action. Get outside for 10 to 15 minutes before noon, even if it's just sitting on your porch or by an open window. Feel the sunlight on your skin. It's not just refreshing, it's medicine. At night, dim indoor lights after sunset and avoid screens an hour before bed. Try warm-toned bulbs or blue light-blocking glasses if you must use devices. Ask yourself, what's one light habit I can tweak to protect my sleep? Share your plan in the comments. I'm eager to hear how you'll reclaim your nights. Number 4. The hidden toll of unspoken grief, the weight your body carries. By the time you reach 80, life has likely handed you losses that cut to the core: a spouse who shared your life for decades, a sibling who knew your childhood secrets, a friend who laughed with you through the years. These aren't just memories, they're wounds that linger. Society often expects you to move on, to be strong, to keep it together. So, you swallow the pain, put on a brave face, and tell yourself you're fine. But here's the brutal truth. Grief doesn't disappear when you ignore it, it festers. And it doesn't just live in your heart, it weighs down your body too. A 2023 study in psychosomatic medicine found that suppressed grief raises cortisol levels by up to 20%, which weakens immunity, disrupts digestion, and increases risks of heart disease and diabetes. Unprocessed emotions create a state of chronic stress, keeping your nervous system in a quiet state of fight or flight. This isn't just emotional pain, it's physical. A 2020 American Journal of Cardiology study linked unresolved grief to a 15% higher risk of heart attack in older adults. That heaviness in your chest, that shallow breathing, that subtle loss of spark, it's your body begging to release what you've buried. Consider George, 86, who lost his wife of 60 years. He didn't cry much, said it wasn't his way. He told everyone he was fine, but within a year he'd lost 15 pounds, stopped going to the senior center, and struggled with insomnia. His doctor suspected depression, but the root was deeper, unprocessed grief. When George joined a grief support group and started sharing stories about his wife, something shifted. He began eating again, sleeping better, and even smiled more. His body wasn't failing him, his heart needed to breathe. Why is this so common after 80? By this age, losses pile up, and the world often doesn't make space for your pain. Friends may not know how to listen, family may be too busy, or you might feel like you should be over it by now. But grief isn't a one-time event, it's a process. And when it's suppressed, it doesn't just affect your mood. A 2019 Journal of Psychoneuroendocrinology study found that chronic emotional suppression increases inflammation markers like IL-6 by 10 to 15%, accelerating aging at a cellular level. It also disrupts the vagus nerve, which regulates heart rate and digestion, leading to physical symptoms like fatigue or poor appetite. In the US, where stoicism is often celebrated, this is a cultural blind spot. We're told to stay strong, but strength isn't bottling up pain, it's letting it out. Emotional expression, whether through talking, writing, or even prayer, is like opening a pressure valve. A 2022 Journal of Clinical Psychology study showed that older adults who regularly expressed emotions through journaling or therapy had a 20% lower risk of depression and better physical health outcomes. I saw this firsthand with Maria, 83, who lost her sister, her last living sibling. She didn't want to burden her kids, so she kept her sorrow to herself. But her blood pressure spiked, and she felt listless. When she started writing letters to her sister, letters she never sent, she described it as lifting a weight. Her energy returned, and her doctor was stunned at her improved vitals. The key is finding a safe outlet. It doesn't have to be dramatic, a quiet conversation with a friend, a few lines in a journal, or even a moment of prayer can make a difference. In the US, where 1 in 4 older adults report feeling isolated, per a 2021 AARP survey, creating space for emotional release is critical. It's not just about feeling better, it's about living longer, stronger, and more fully. Take action. Find one way to let your heart breathe. Call a trusted friend, join a grief support group, or write a single sentence about someone you miss. If faith is your anchor, pray or reflect. Ask yourself, what's one emotion I've been holding in, and how can I let it out? Comment 4 below and share your plan. I'm here to cheer you on. Number 5. The slow erosion of daily purpose, the spark that keeps you alive. Purpose isn't about climbing mountains or chasing grand dreams, it's the small, everyday reasons you get out of bed. Watering your garden before the sun gets too hot, feeding the stray cat that waits by your door, calling your grandkid to hear about their day, or fixing that squeaky hinge on the back gate. These acts give your days texture and meaning. They tell your body, you're still needed. A 2019 JAMA Network Open study found that older adults with a sense of purpose had a 15% lower risk of early death, even when controlling for health conditions. Purpose is fuel. It keeps your cells repairing, your organs functioning, and your brain learning. But after 80, purpose often slips away, and it's so gradual you might not notice. Maybe your weekly bridge game got cancelled, or your church group stopped meeting. Perhaps your family visits less often, or your volunteer role ended when your knees started aching. The days start blending together, each one quieter than the last. A 2020 gerontologist study found that older adults without daily purpose reported a 25% higher rate of apathy, linked to faster physical and cognitive decline. Without purpose, your appetite fades, your energy wanes, and your body starts to shut down, not because it's broken, but because it's waiting for a reason to keep going. Take Ruth, 88, who seemed more alive than people half her age. She wasn't wealthy or in perfect health, but she had rhythm to her days. Every Monday, she wrote postcards to shut-ins in her church. Every Thursday, she made soup for a local shelter. Every afternoon at 4 p.m., she sat by her window to wave to the neighborhood kids walking home from school. She knew their names, and they waved back. These weren't grand gestures, but they gave her life continuity. They told her body, you're still here, you matter. Why does purpose matter so much? Your brain and body are wired to respond to meaning. A 2023 Journal of Aging and Health study showed that older adults with daily routines had 20% better cognitive function and lower rates of depression. Purpose doesn't have to be bidgets, about consistency. In the US, where 1 in 3 older adults report feeling a lack of purpose, per a 2022 National Institute on Aging survey, this is a critical issue. Without it, your systems go quiet, waiting for a signal to switch back on. I met Clara, 87, who found purpose in small acts after her husband passed. She started knitting scarves for a local homeless shelter, just 1 a week. She'd drop them off, chat with the staff, and leave feeling lighter. That simple routine didn't just keep her hands busy, it kept her heart engaged. Her blood pressure stabilized, and her doctor noted improved energy levels. Purpose wasn't just emotional, it was physical. The beauty of purpose is its simplicity. It could be a garden, a pet, a journal, a daily prayer, or a phone call to a friend. What matters is that it's yours. In a culture that often overlooks older adults, purpose is a rebellion, a way to say, I'm still here and I'm still needed. Take action. Find one small ritual that lights you up. Volunteer at a library, tend a plant, or write a note to someone you love. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today that makes me feel needed? Share your purpose spark in the comments. I can't wait to hear it. Final thoughts. You have the power to thrive beyond 80. Aging past 80 isn't about dodging one big catastrophe, it's about guarding the small, vital habits that keep your light burning. Microsocial connections, movement, light exposure, emotional release, and daily purpose, these aren't just nice-to-haves, they're your lifelines. The best part? You don't need to overhaul your life, just take one step today. A quick chat with a neighbor, a 10-minute walk, a moment of honesty, a small task that matters. These small acts add up to a life that stays vibrant, full, and yours. So, which of these 5 reasons hit you hardest? Which one felt like a mirror to your life? And most importantly, what's one change you'll make today to age on your terms? Drop it in the comments. I'm reading every single one. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss more life-changing insights. Share this with someone who needs it, and let's keep this conversation alive. Here's to thriving past 80, not just living, but shining.